what these slides read, in case you are not able to read, able to see from behind, is that as long as there is profit in war, the world will never know peace. I repeat it again, as long as there is profit in war, the world will never know peace. And the other one is from an artist, from a singer, and he says, if we would just take the profits out of war, there would not be any. So these two very powerful words, what they talk about, what they say, is that when the countries talk about that we are going to war to defend our national interests, someone may ask them, what interests are you talking about here? The economic interest or something else? We are going to focus on the subject, why is a war so attractive to companies, to countries. We will leave aside the issue of being politically or morally right or wrong. We know that morally, possibly, people always talk about peace is better. Politically also people talk about it, but in real life, we see the situations have been different. There have been 45 wars waged last year. So we could see here two type of movements. One is charged, another is overcharged. So one person is running, the soldier is running with the gun, and the other person with the profits. Next one, please. This was immediately after the conclusion of World War I, and there is this businessman, and he is saying to the soldier that war is over, my boy, forget it. Then we have got someone saying war is hell, and you could see what the person is holding in his hands. Next one, please. Thank you, my man. We could see a soldier standing by, and the company is running away with the profits. Okay, so with this, now I request Dr. Barkei to express his views, how he sees the issue of war. Dr. Barkei is the principal of St. George's International School.
One of the challenges for the European states before the First World War was, of course, a period of rapid industrialization, not just in Germany, but in France, in Britain, and elsewhere on the European continent, in particular Russia. Now, one of the interesting concepts there is particularly the development of the chemical industry in Germany, the creation of new fertilizers, for example, and you all know what a fertilizer is. It's essentially a synthetic element that is produced in order to improve the yield of agricultural products. So essentially, large agricultural chemical firms such as Bayer in Germany became very rich. And of course, a side product of that is that you can use ammonium nitrate as one of the elements of particularly effective explosives. Now, for a corporation such as Bayer, it would have been unthinkable in 1914 to not join the German war effort. They saw it as their patriotic duty to participate and to help the German army and the military to develop effective and effective ammunition. The other issue that you need to address here is also in terms of the Peace Prize, the World Peace Prize. Now, of course, you all know that this is actually sponsored by Alfred Nobel. And also the vast majority of you will know that Alfred Nobel made his millions, a very effective and world-renowned company, by actually producing explosives. And the third example that I'm going to use for corporate intertwining with war is Krupp, ThyssenKrupp. What you might not know is that ThyssenKrupp, although being a German company before the First World War, was actually selling the Sünder, you know, your little caps explosive caps, which you need for artillery shells, they actually they had a worldwide patent. So the British companies who were producing Allied shells to be used against German and Austrian troops during the First World War were actually paying a German company royalties, which is, I think, from a business perspective, particularly effective. You're actually being paid by your enemy. So from a commercial perspective, war is immensely profitable. One of the best examples is in the term of medicine. If you want to develop a very effective triage system, that is a system to deal with emergency response to large trauma cases, the best way is on the battlefield, because you as a doctor, as a medic, will make decisions very, very quickly, and your medical organization will have to set up a framework to deal with battlefield trauma. In peacetime, you don't have that experience. Only in war will you actually have the opportunity to effect and to create an effective triage system. And it's the same with surgery. One of the reasons why the British Navy got very good at surgery and why their fatality rates went down was that they were actually fighting wars against Napoleon. So the interaction or the success of commercial, either industrial, agricultural, and other organizations is linked with developments, with advancements that are made during wartime. Whether or not we like it or not is a separate argument. But the industrial, economic, and commercial developments that commercial organizations and governments make, a lot of those advancements are made during wartime. And war is essentially a very important trigger, a very important element that forces corporations, that forces governments to innovate. And could you just raise your hands if you drive an SUV or a similar type of vehicle? Very good. Okay, you are driving a commercial version of what was essentially originally a military invention. And it is, a classic example. It's the SUV or the four-wheel drive vehicles were essentially developed by Willis in America for the Second World War. We can't simply say this invention comes from a wartime necessity and so therefore in peacetime we will reject it. We have to say these kind of technological, these kind of commercial inventions are essentially things that come out of a particular situation, and during peacetime we can then benefit from them. So those are just my introductory remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We also welcome Mr. Naveed Elahi. He is from the office. He is from the office of the President of Pakistan. He is Director General, and he is a PhD into security issues. We welcome Mr. Elahi to join the dais. Thank you.
From my own experience from my home country, I can say, to begin with, I think it's painful to admit that yes, war is lucrative, but this is what the fact is. Though we can't detach the whole scenario from other aspects like moral and ideological reasons whatsoever, but these are the causes which ultimately produce wars. And then we have armies, and when we have armies, we are definitely going to have all the armaments. And that's where the question of involvement of corporate aspect comes in. We have been into war, my country has been into war for 3-4 times with our neighbors, and we are well aware of the destruction and the way the budget in our countries, which was supposed to be spent on the uplift of our people for their education and health and other aspects, that's spent on the budget for defense. We all think, or we are made to think, or we perceive that it is essential for our security, so we have to do that. At the same time, I will not go into the details of the factories who produce shells or armaments or the jets for this, but I can also say that militaries engage in businesses as well. As in Pakistan, the mill bus is quite a hot topic because in peace times they are involved in their own military businesses. I think it may be profitable for them, but it's most of the time it's at the cost of the civil side also, the side of the business which was supposed to run by the civil bureaucracy or the people. So, to my mind, I think, if we raise hands, we will all be for the moral side of war. But in fact, it's a cruel fact to admit that wars are attractive because of corporate interest as well. Thank you very much.